It started with tiny things seemingly insignificant. A laugh a little too forced, a glance that lingered longer than it should, a text that she quickly hid when I entered the room. I shrugged them off, telling myself I was being paranoid. Maybe I was imagining things. Maybe love meant trusting blindly, even when your instincts whispered caution. But deep down, I couldn't shake the unease, the sense that something vital was slipping through my fingers. For weeks, the tension built in invisible layers. I noticed her phone was always face down, the way she suddenly stayed out longer than she said she would, the subtle distance in her touch. Alone in our bedroom, I would lie awake, tracing the memories of smiles and words, trying to reconcile them with the quiet suspicion that was growing inside me. I told myself it was nothing, but the little things had a way of becoming a chorus, impossible to ignore. The moment of revelation came unexpectedly. I was waiting for her to return from an errand and saw her car parked near a small cafe a few blocks from home. My curiosity surged, despite the warning in my chest. I watched as she met a man I had never seen before, their hands brushing, laughter spilling into the cool evening air. My heart sank, and my stomach turned as the realization hit me. The signs I had dismissed, the whispers of doubt I had ignored, were all pointing to this, her betrayal. When I confronted her that night, it was raw, unfiltered. "I know," I said, voice trembling, heavy with emotion. "I know what's been happening." Her face went pale, her eyes darting around as if searching for an escape. It's complicated," she stammered. "I didn't want to hurt you, I didn't think it would." But I stopped her. I had heard enough excuses over the months, enough lies masquerading as explanations. My love for her had been genuine, but it had blinded me to the truth that was unfolding right in front of me. I had ignored the small signs, and now the full weight of her choices pressed against my chest like an unbearable tide. The days that followed were filled with heavy silence. We moved through the house like strangers, our shared spaces now a landscape of betrayal and grief. I replayed every interaction, every unexplained absence, every half-truth she had told. The pain was raw, yet beneath it, a strange clarity began to emerge. I realized that ignoring my instincts, dismissing the small signals, had allowed this betrayal to grow unchecked. I had given her the space to deceive, and in doing so, I had enabled the slow erosion of trust. Leaving wasn't instantaneous. I needed time to process, to gather the fragments of my self-respect that had been scattered by heartbreak. When I finally decided to walk away, it wasn't an act of anger or revenge. It was an act of self-preservation, a declaration that I would no longer tolerate deceit, no matter how much I loved her. "I can't stay here," I said, voice steady, holding my gaze. I ignored the signs for too long. I trusted blindly, and now the truth has made it clear. I need to protect my heart. She didn't argue. There was no dramatic plea, no desperate bargaining. Only a silent acknowledgement that what had been broken could not be repaired by words alone. In that quiet, I felt the first real sense of relief since discovering the betrayal. I had chosen myself. I had reclaimed my dignity. In the weeks that followed, I moved carefully, rebuilding my life piece by piece. Friends and family became anchors, familiar routines provided structure, and I began to understand the lessons hidden within the pain. Betrayal had shown me the fragility of trust, the importance of listening to my instincts, and the necessity of valuing my own heart above misplaced loyalty. I discovered strength I hadn't known I possessed. I learned that love cannot survive in shadows, that care and devotion are meaningless when honesty is absent. And slowly, the ache of heartbreak was replaced by a quiet confidence. The knowledge that I could love again, but on terms that respected my worth. Months later, walking alone along the quiet streets near my home, I reflected on the journey I had endured. I thought of her, of the life we had shared, and of the small signs I had ignored. I didn't feel bitterness. I didn't feel rage. I felt understanding and resolve. The small signals had been warnings, and I had ignored them. But now I would never ignore my own intuition again. I realized that betrayal, while devastating, is also a teacher. It reveals not only the flaws in those we love, but also the power within ourselves to survive, to heal, and to reclaim our lives. I had ignored the small signs, yes, but the lesson they left me was invaluable. Trust your instincts, value your heart, and never sacrifice your self-respect for someone else's secrecy. The pain lingered, but it no longer defined me. I had survived the heartbreak, and in doing so, I had discovered resilience, clarity, and the quiet freedom that comes from facing the truth, no matter how long it had been ignored.